You're running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Quasar Markets Live. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Hope everyone's having a great start to your Thursday. Man, it's Thursday already, huh? Markets are starting off, or at least showing a little bit of strength here this morning. To give sort of a wrap up on yesterday, the NASDAQ finished up about 30 basis points. And it's up about that same amount here this morning. So the technology is driving the bus so far. We do see a nice little move up, though, also by the S&P, up about 32 basis points. And the Dow Jones also looking to open up about 0.25 percentage point. So far, so good here. You know, we're happy to see that as it comes through. If we take a quick look through everything sort of going on, you know, volatility is easing. VIX is back down around 17.35 here. So that's below that 18% level. So we're starting with a bid. We're getting some volatility, depression or compression, which is supportive. Rates are backing off slightly, or at least were. Always scares me when I say these things because I put together my notes usually about a half hour before the show. And in that half hour, as we know, anything can change pretty quickly here in the world of finance. But rates are still backing off a little bit. 10-year at 4.16, the 30-year at 4.178 or so. We see the dollar is slightly softer here. DXY at 96.84. Not a huge move, but it matters if you're watching multinationals and commodities for sure. And commodities are mixed to lower. Gold is retracing a little bit, but again, you know, broke back through that 5,000 level, broke back above 50.50. Does seem to have trouble getting through 5,100 for the last 24 hours or so. So we'll see if we can get back through that line. And silver down slightly here, down about almost 2%. But again, 82.64, nicely sort of holding up at least within the same trading range here for the last 2 or 3 days. I think calming down would be something that wouldn't be too bad for the metals and commodities markets overall. We do see oil slipping a little bit. WTI, the Western Texas crude, is down about 70 basis points, and Brent oil is at about down almost a full percentage point here. And it's been dropping the last 20 or 30 minutes here. Natural gas remains depressed under the $4 level, so that is good to see here. And Bitcoin, while it says it's up, not really. It's sort of in the same exact zone it was yesterday. We've been in a fairly tight range between, you know, last 24 hours really between about 66.5 and 68, 250 at best. So not really a big range. It's sort of compressed within this area. Did seem to be slowing down, and futures flows were leading negative, but now it's pretty neutral again. But again, very range bound there. Looking overseas at the other markets, the Nikkei taking a little bit of a breather here, down about a 0.5 percentage point. But again, it's been hitting all-time highs and skyrocketing lately. Hong Kong markets also down a little bit. So Asia's got hit a little bit overnight, down about 86 basis points. But the stocks in Europe is up 37 basis points. So not really clear direction one way or the other from there. When we start to look at the different sectors so far, what are we seeing? You know, this is where we want to watch. Where is the money moving so far this morning? Energy up about 2.6% yesterday, up another 5 basis points here today. We also see yesterday we saw some strength in the material sector that's at least holding up today. Tech is looking to have a multi-day bounce, up about 50 basis points. The real estate sector was the leader so far this morning, up about 1.26%. They had a rough day yesterday as Zillow was down and a few of the other companies, so we'll see if that's a rebound. Communications also having a fairly strong pre-market, up about 53 basis points. So far it's been pretty broad. Almost all of the sectors are looking to open up. Like I said, consumer staples, the one that's a little bit of a laggard so far. So, you know, we don't have a straight send it tape. We don't really have a straight, hey, tech is driving the bus, jump on the back and ride it. We don't really have much to go from. What we get is that it looks like it could be a little bit of choppiness here, right? Getting into the early morning days. So we'll see what we get there. We do have some definite movers here in the early morning. Oops, that's the laggards. Let's start with the good news. And on the good news side, Fastly, software technology company, up 41%. Huge. That's the headline stock name for the day. And I do have some notes on their earnings here. But absolutely skyrocketing, continuing to hold strength here too. This, you know, they did a lot of their move yesterday at 4 o'clock when they announced they just had a turbo breakout, got them into about that 1250 level. And then this morning they just continued to move to the upside, getting as high as $13, almost $14 before it pulled back. But it was without a doubt a stellar quarter. The move came as after a couple of analyst upgrades. Also, cloud platform speeds up websites and applications by storing digital content on servers. So again, this helps speed things up. So when the LLMs like ChatGPT are looking to scour the internet for answers, users' prompts, that boosts Fastly's traffic. So again, this is a play off of the AI side, is why it's up so much. That noise is, man. House shaking here. Sorry, everybody. But they had definitely had a stellar quarter so far. There we go. That stopped. I don't know what was going on there, but house no longer shaking there. But big move up by Fastly so far, almost 40% up so far today. So definitely one to keep your eyes on. Other names that are moving up so far: CGNX, which is Cognex Corporation, on their earnings beat, is up about 25% so far today too. So we are seeing some definite, winners when it comes to earnings today. And this one should get my man, I'm going after BigBeat first thing when he comes in, about Crocs, up 12.8 or 13.7% now after their earnings beat here. They came in revenue up at $957 million, almost $40 million ahead of expectations, and about a 20% beat on their EPS, came in at $2.29. We joke about that one because their headquarters is right near me here in Ohio. And Steve always asks who's still wearing Crocs. Well, I guess some folks are, as that has moved onto some of the laggards here, bigger names that we need to keep an eye on this morning. Cisco Systems down about 6.62%. The networking company reported better than expected fiscal second quarter earnings and revenue, but its guidance looks a little bit soft for the fiscal year ending in July. They expect revenue of $61.2 billion. Analysts were expecting closer to 64. So, it is still down, but you can see it's moved up here so far this morning, trying to catch a little bit of a move here after that. Another one getting hits this morning. AppLovin down about 7.59%. The advertising technology company posted fourth quarter earnings that beat Wall Street estimates as revenue jumped also. So they definitely looking pretty damn good. Also, other names to keep an eye on: Equinix, EQIX, had a nice little earnings beat, up about 12% here this morning and moving to the upside still. So we definitely have got some names that are interesting to keep an eye on. Those are the main ones that I was watching so far. Getting back into other things I've been watching here today. Micron up a little bit here today. So MU, and I will say Micron, not only that sector, but also still seeing strong movements across the memory names. So Micron's up here. This rally came after the memory chip maker's CFO shrugged off concerns about fierce competition in the memory chip space. And we do see SanDisk also up this morning, SNDK on that news. Coming in at about 6:45 here. Also, Western Digital moving up on that news. And Seagate Technology, STX. So that sector is a sector to keep an eye on today for sure. Memory seems to be back in the news and moving in the right direction. Anheuser-Busch had a nice little earnings here today. The big bear conglomerate. Up about 3% after fourth quarter earnings outdid what they expected. Beverage Giant reported earnings of 95 cents a share as revenue grew about 4.8% from a year ago to $15.6 billion. The owner of beer brands like Budweiser and Corona has had a solid start to the year. It's up more than 20% year to date. So this has been a name, we've talked about how liquor, beer wine companies have been under pressure, right? As sort of consumers change the way that they consume. But Budweiser, again, strong into earnings, strong through earnings. And the world's largest brewer said it was coming into the year in a position of strength, highlighting a number of sporting events. And it's funny how sporting events drive drinking. But, the Olympics going on right now, this summer's World Cup also came there. They said that could potentially offset softer volumes amid a slowdown in alcohol consumption across various markets. And when they say that volumes fell about 1.5% in the fourth quarter ending December, beer volumes fell about 1.9%, non-beer, so usually meaning their ciders, their malt beverages, and those vodka-based things actually increased by 0.6%. And their total volume fell by 2.3% for the year. They talked about beer consumption being challenging and so forth. So again, that's one Budweiser that's been under a little bit of pressure, but nice move to the upside so far today. And we'll keep an eye there. Another one, McDonald's, Mickey D's, MCD, is trading up about 1.45% here. The world's largest burger chains beat expectations. Company reported adjusted earnings of about $3.12 a share and revenue of $7 billion. Wall Street was expecting McDonald's to show growth as the fast food chain's value-led strategy seemed to be offsetting the challenge of a tough economy. And they did it so far. The CEO said that they were listening to customers and taking actions, improve traffic, and strengthen their value and affordability scores. That helped global system-wide sales 11%. Those gains came as the company posted a strong third quarter, where global system-wide sales jumped 8%, with gains in both international and domestic markets. Comparable sales, which exclude newly opened restaurants, increased about 3.6%. And they are planning aggressive global expansion, aiming to reach 50,000 restaurants globally by the end of next year. They have about 43,500. So pretty ambitious here. They still are looking to, grow. Over the past year, they've responded with steps to attract more customers and encourage them to spend more per visit. And what they said is they're getting them in the door with the value meals. And then while they're there, they're convincing them to buy one of their newer, cooler items that maybe they make a little bit more profit on. And that has both the corporate company happy and also the franchisees happy, which is important because about 90% of their stores, remember, are franchisee stores. Another name that's moving after earnings today is ALB, Albemarle, one of the big plays on lithium. They reported its fourth quarters. The quarter looked solid, but they're down about 2%, although they were up 4% yesterday leading into earnings. So only a smaller retracement. They did have an adjusted per share loss of 53 cents from sales of 1.4 billion. The Wall Street was looking for a loss of around 42 cents on lower sales. So they had a revenue beat, earnings miss, but better than $1.09 per share loss in the fourth quarter a year ago. Losses narrowed as lithium prices grew. Benchmark spot lithium prices average about $9,500 metric ton last year versus $8,500 previous. So far cry from the peaks where we saw it trading at 80,000 per metric ton as EV demand was stressing the lithium supply. So the improvements reflected in their forward guidance. They said if that lithium prices can average about 20,000 per metric ton, they should produce sales of around 5.85 billion with an EBITDA of about 2.5 billion. So again, they are the biggest play out there, in my opinion, when it comes to lithium. So it's one to always keep an eye on. Let's see what else is moving so far here this morning. We're about 10 minutes from the top of the hour. Advanced decline right now at about 1,800. So we do see a little bit of breadth in the market. So this and that shows in the different sectors, right? We see that 11 of the 12 or 10 of the 11 sectors of the S&P We're trading in the green so far this morning. Just taking a look at Twitter here to see if anything kind of kicking off. Nothing really there that's too exciting. Bitcoin trying to regain 68K here. That's good to see. Oh, we do. Well, we'll wait for BigBeat to get into some of those things. Do see that Restaurant Brands just had their earnings also. Let me pull that up here. They trade under the symbol QSR, down about 1%. That's after they reported quarterly earnings and revenue that topped expectations, fueled by strong international growth. So we see them coming in with about 2% beat on top line revenue, which came in almost at 2.5 billion and at almost just over 96 cents per share EPS. Slight beat there, about 1%. Excluding transaction costs, restructuring costs, and other expenses, like I said, the EPS came in around 96 cents. Their same-store sales increased by 3.1. So again, McDonald's, if we want to compare the two, we just went through theirs, 3.6. So they're growing, but not as quickly. Outside of the U.S. and Canada, their same-store sales climbed by 6.1. So we do see that here in the U.S. and Canada, not as much growth. Analysts were projecting international same-store growth of just 3.7. So that was definitely a burst for them. They, like McDonald's, are planning to keep growing their business abroad. In November, the company announced its plan to form a joint venture for Burger King China to accelerate expansion. So again, they're tied in with CPE, a Chinese alternative asset manager, which owns roughly 83% of Burger King China, and Restaurant Brands keeps the other 17% and a seat on their board of directors. One of their better performers was Tim Horton. The Canadian coffee chain showed same-store sales growth of just under 3%. Burger King came in with same-store sales growth of 2.7%, actually topping estimates. And Popeyes was the laggard. They fell 4.8%, and it was a steeper decline than expected. So Restaurant Brands under a little bit of pressure here, down about 1% on that, on those earnings. Just trying to take a look and see what's kicking here. Advanced decline still sticking right around the same spot. The NASDAQ is looking to be up almost a half a percentage point here. Nice little move up over the last half hour here from that 614 up towards 616. S&P up 40 basis points. Again, we saw the nice burst in between about 815 and 845 here. And the Dow Jones up about 32 basis points. VIX pretty flat here at 1726. Not a real lot going on there. Look at what else is moving segments wise. It's a stock pickers. It's different. It's, a lot of different categories here that are seeing some strength, but it's more individual names within categories than the overall category. Seeing a nice little move up by NNE, Nano Nuclear, so that's getting a little bit of love today. do see that ICLR has dropped down, which is Icon Brands. They're down about 33% in the pre-market after the company withdrew its full year guidance and said revenue might have been overstated. So again, this is ICLR. So that is definitely a problem account. We know what that did to SMCI, right? It kept them down. Excuse me, for approximately a whole year as they sort of tried to work through their accounting discrepancies that were found. So that is the biggest laggard here in the early morning, is definitely them so far. We talked about Rollins, or I don't think we did actually. Rollins, the pest control company, down about 13.17% here this morning. They did have a earnings miss both top line revenue, although only by about 1.5%. More importantly, they were down about 10% on their earnings per share. They used weather as a big reason, or one of the big reasons that they were having some problems, but it definitely still has them under a lot of stress for sure. We'll say one of those stocks moving up nicely again the last 2 days is NVIDIA, as the focus starts to turn to earnings there. They have seen a nice 2-day run here, up over 2%. Investors will be watching next week to see whether the company's earnings can prompt another rally. They're expected to show adjusted earnings of about $1.49 a share on about $65.5 billion for the quarter. However, the focus will definitely be more on guidance, right? We're going to want to hear what they say about forward guidance. NVIDIA, is the memory, chip issue going to give them some margin compression? Is that going to cause problems? We know the first talk of that's what took NVIDIA down from this 194 towards 170. It has bounced all the way back, headed into earnings. But that's definitely the things to keep an eye on here. We are about 2 minutes from the top of the hour here. We'll keep an eye on what's going on across everything. Other headlines you need to know or need to keep an eye on this morning, and we'll talk more about it with BigBeat. Jobs data yesterday added about 130,000 non-farm payrolls, more than double the 55,000 expected. Most of it, though, was really in that healthcare sector. It wasn't as positive for all of the other sectors. Most of them were actually laggards on a monthly basis. November's previous estimate was revised down by 15,000, and December's numbers fell by 2,000. That tallied to a net loss of 1,000 jobs in the final 6 months of 2025. Excuse me. And all in all, the strong headline data was not enough to quell concerns about the health of the U.S. labor market. We'll talk with BigBeat more about it, but the House of Representatives last night did vote to overturn the president's tariffs on Canada. Several Republicans joined, all but one Democrat, to pass the resolution. It is pretty much symbolic, but likely futile. But it is a rebuke of the Trump's Keystone economic policy. The measure will go to the Senate, which did support similar legislation last year. But even if the Senate approves the resolution, Trump would likely veto the bill. But, starting to see 6 Republicans vote anti-Republican on it, so to speak, and not fall in line is an interesting one to keep an eye on for sure. Do see the BigBeat is coming in here. We'll run his intro, get him in, get all the key headlines back and forth between the two of us here.
When markets move, Stephen E. Orr takes the chair. From the White House to Wall Street, he's spent decades at the intersection of policy, markets, and real capital. And he's seen firsthand how institutions use data behind closed doors. Now, as founder of Quasar Markets, his mission is to pull those signals into the open so everyone can see what really moves the markets. This is Stephen E. Orr, Big Beat on Wall Street. Let's filter the future live.
Big Beat, how are we doing today? I know you had a huge day yesterday, my man. You were looking good. All that makeup you had on, you denied.
I did not have makeup on yesterday.
You know I had to give you a hard time, man. Great job yesterday. Great job.
Thank you.
So what's the biggest thing to you today? Is it the Senate, or excuse me, the House passing saying Trump, no tariffs? Is it our buildup in Iran? It's been a couple of days. Is it the labor reports? What are you thinking we want to start with?
The presidency is over.
Huh. Okay.
We've been calling this and saying this for a while now that the popularity of this president is waning very fast. Now in the mid 30s, which is Nixon levels. And you're now seeing not just now the Supreme Court, but you're also seeing now Republicans in Congress that are, and you saw that frustration through Pam Bondi's face yesterday, as she had a meltdown right in Congress, could not handle it. It's over. So now we need to start as traders, start thinking about how the markets are going to change. What things can be done? The president still has the EO pin, executive order pin. Which is good. He can still do his things. He can still make decisions. But bigger, broader pictures, bigger, broader strokes, swaths of changes will not happen now. And it looks like he can't even get Kevin Warsh in. I don't think he might not even get passed. So that's a problem. And you have funding for DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and yet you've got a second ship going off the coast of the Middle East. Right, that's a problem. So he's still commander in chief, and that his decisions there will still stand. But domestic policy is over. And it looks like I'm reading it now right off of the White House makes last minute bid to avoid DHS shutdown on the Hill. They're having to compromise, which is what should have happened a long time ago, as this administration has been trying to be the bully pulpit. I understand why they did it. They had some serious questions in the campaign, and they got to fulfill those promises. None of them got fulfilled. I mean, maybe not even crypto, right? But if you think about the next level of this, how we invest, I'm thinking, as you know, 6 months ago, we moved money into Asia. I'm thinking about moving money now out of Japan. That thing is on an all-time high. Nikkei is blown up. I'm happy, and I'm probably going to move that money. But the question is never about, oh, you made money. The question is always about, what do you do next? The word next is always a big question. And so I think right now, I think you have to think about this one. This is hard. If you can't find alpha, the path of least resistance is right back down. President says we're going to double we're going to do 100,000 by the end of his administration. He ain't wrong, to be honest with you. He might be right because, quite frankly, people love it when there's a split government, when the House and Senate's one way and the presidency's another way. So they like that. That's a big deal. So Howard, I think that there's a good possibility here.
Okay, absolutely. And there, when we're seeing that talk, as everyone is realizing the same thing, like you said, you've been talking about for a while, that, it's a 2-year run, and, you're already a year and a half into it at this point now. Yeah. Basically of when you sort of have to get everything done, because if you don't get it by there, like you said, defections start, people start posturing for whomever the next candidates look like they will be. And I was interested, and I did notice from both sides of the aisles over the last couple of days, folks that are popping up and calling themselves moderates now. I guess, can we get away? I mean, that would
yes,
make me the happiest man in the world, as you know. Our previous president, I thought was a moderate for years, and when he got into office, turned out not to be. And this one is as far from a moderate as you can get also. So do we have a chance for the what I call the party of common sense to come back in?
You got me on that one, Howard. I didn't even know that was a thing yet. Wow. Okay. Not where I'd love to see where you saw that, because that's funny.
One of them was the Democratic senator on CNBC this morning. I'll have to look up who it was.
He's a moderate now. Is that what he's saying? He's a moderate?
Yeah, literally said, you know what he was trying to point to is because they got on him about the fact that well, this is what you guys don't want, blah blah blah. And he was pointing out that it was Rep. Schneider. And
It's interesting. I mean, he's definitely not a moderate. Wow, that's interesting. Rebranding yourself while in Congress. Hey, there you go. Look, I mean, I'm hard on both sides, man. This is terrible. This is terrible on both sides. This is not just the Republicans are, I mean, the first thing you learn when you're in Washington, D.C., when you as a member of Congress, whether on the House or Senate side, the first thing you learn to do when you get there, the first thing I tell you, look, you got to get reelected, right? It's not about what policies you're going to make and what good are you going to do. It's get reelected, right? That's the first thing you learn. And if they are posturing to change who they are, I mean, chameleons change colors too, right? And I don't, the politics side of it, I don't really care about so much, but I need to understand them, right, as who they are, because I want to know how they're going to vote, right? That's what's important. Right. It's not a politics thing. This is not, oh, I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. This is, okay, well, I need to know how they're going to vote, how they're going to affect my investments, right? And anybody who doesn't think anything less than that, that's exactly what this is. Bearish on the quality of a market on close these days. Yeah, Shane. And speaking of Republicans, there's Shane Jemison. How are you, my friend? I've known you a long time. Yeah, I mean, let's bring, Shane can tell us, what is Washington like these days? Like how is the, I mean, when I was going through DC, and Howard, you and I went through DC, it was pretty amenable to both sides, right? Maybe except not during the Newt Gingrich days, but it was pretty amenable. We're all friends. We all know each other. We're all cool. We go to the same bars, hung out the same places. And what you found out was, down the road, they were just, just trying to get reelected. They remember get reelected, or they were a stepping stone, right? So, absolutely. Yeah. So, look, I'm looking at this market like it's like we might be overstepping our skis a bit here.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's we both have thought that for sure. So that it wouldn't be surprising to either one of us. Steve, jobs reports, what any take on that? Healthcare was where it looks like the only place we saw growth. All the others seem to be retracing. I'm sure it didn't surprise you, but I just wanted to get your comments and, sort of view of what happened there.
I saw, Steve Leisman had a Fed governor on this morning, Roger Ferguson, and he was saying that AI is not really affecting anybody's jobs. And then
I don't even know how to respond to that at this point.
I didn't either. And you know what? The thing is, the question mark around it is that how far is the Fed gone out of its way to not really understand what's going on in the world, right? Now, do we need a 100 basis point cut here now? No. That would shock the world, and probably the market would just crash. I mean, literally just crash in front of us. We need smart decision making here, and based on some serious data that really is understanding the markets, and they just don't have it. The Fed has to, and Steve Flanagan's right in a lot of ways. They're just too academic in so many ways. They're not really seeing real numbers. They're not really getting the bigger picture of this. So To me, Howard, this is a big question mark, and I don't know. I don't think, the Fed has to have a chair, and they might not have him soon enough. I don't know. The Fed could be a mess here pretty soon. The Fed's already a mess. Let's get right to it. The Fed's already a mess. It's how much they go. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much else you could do there. Steve, some of the earnings today that are hitting the news, McDonald's continues to win with value and convincing people to step up a little bit from that value. They talked about the strength of their, $5 breakfast, their $8 lunch and dinners, and how they're actually making money, though, for their franchisees, which is more important since 90% of those stores are franchisees, because people are stepping up and buying the little trinkets and, other nice things they're putting out there. Were you surprised at all by their earnings?
Not at all. McDonald's is the recession indicator. Fast food is a recession indicator. If you are seeing those especially during this weight loss thing, that's a problem. And I don't find McDonald's food's not great, right? It's terrible for you, and it's high in sodium and all the things we already know. But it also tells you that make America healthy again, or whatever that is. That's nonsense. That's no one's really listening to that either. So, and it's the people that voted for it.
Well, they're listening. They just can't afford it. They can afford an $8 value meal, so that's what they're buying. Someone just took Steve out of the game. Not sure what happened there. Was going to bring up the fact that 3 of Steve's most hated companies. Here he is. He's back in here. Steve,
How about that?
No problem. I think you would drop it off, because I'm about to talk about 3 of your companies that you are not a fan of that just crushed earnings. All 3 of them.
All right. So
Crocs, baby. Crocs. Yeah. Dayton, Ohio. Look at the Crocs numbers this morning, Steve. Ugly shoes are still in style.
I don't think ugly shoes are in style. It's also another recession. I think it's another recession indicator.
16%, right? My man. And they actually, in all honesty, internationally they pointed to their international numbers.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Okay,
not in the U.S., but their numbers they blew away everything that they were looking for there. So it is funny there. And then another one, I got to assume, if you're not short in Crocs today, Steve, Fastly.
Fast is a different situation. I do like Fastly. I'm not a big fan of the products. I will tell you, man. I'm glad that they went up for that company, but it's 40% up. There's a reason probably why, because it's so far down, right? I don't know. I don't see Fastly to being the company that everybody thinks it is. So I don't know. I don't know. Information technology services. I mean, it's what it is. What it is.
Yeah, it looks to me to be a Faderama maybe today is.
That's what I'm thinking.
Fastly off the open here is one I'm definitely looking maybe to fade. I'm with you that, they had a good quarter. They did point out that what they do, which I didn't realize they were that important when it comes to these large language models and how they boost traffic for that, or move traffic to allow them to move.
That's true. They do that.
As like I said, I read through these reports and try to pick out things that matter to me. And I was like, okay, that's different than the rest of their business. So that might help them a little. I'm not sure there, but they definitely had good earnings also. Like I said, it was an interesting one there. And then memory chips are back in the news, Steve, and you've got Micron, you've got Seagate, you've got SanDisk all up as a sector. Are you ready to short that sector today?
Yes. Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, so that's what I figured. I just wanted to get those away early here. Steve, another one that was down today, Albemarle. That we both are fans of, one of the pure plays on lithium here, right? Now it's actually up 27 basis points. So it was down. Now it's moving to the upside. Again, I looked at their earnings and I was like, okay, their big problem was lithium prices cratered in the middle of last year. Now they're picking back up. Do you think this might be a time to look at Albemarle?
I liked Albemarle at $50. Albemarle at 176 is not so good. It's a question mark around there. If you're willing to go higher, can it get back up to around 200? I think 197 was kind of high there. 195.69 was a 52-week range. I think it's a little high.
Okay. And then the last one I have for you before I take off here, Steve, NVIDIA going into earnings next week's had a nice little run the last 2 days. Are they breaking to the 212 level? Are they going to try to go to all-time highs leading into earnings?
Yep, I think so. I like it. I mentioned I like NVIDIA, and they're needed so badly, and everything that's going on. I think we go right back on up. But on that tech dip, I took a massive advantage of that, and enjoyed that run. Now, where are we now? I don't know. Are we there again? I don't know. You're going to have to, they're going to have to prove something to me, which I don't know the answer to that question.
Right. Like I said, I think they go up going into earnings, and then it might be tough, especially if they're at all-time highs again, for them to impress people enough through earnings to take that next jump. And then lastly, Steve, Bitcoin, 68,000. Doesn't seem like we're able to get through the 70K level. What are you hearing or seeing out there? Anything?
It's an interesting situation with Bitcoin. How are all of these major companies buying all this Bitcoin and the prices will go up? And we're now seeing Binance now, right? That they are actually buying. So I don't know, man. Something ain't adding up to me.
Okay. I mean, it's the whales that are still distributing, unfortunately, it looks like. And a lot of this is ETF.
That's exactly what I think. Yeah.
And then there's a lot of it's the ETF outflows, too, that just keep on adding on there. What is good is we do see, again, more movement. BlackRock invested in layer 0 yesterday. Or excuse me, Citadel invested in layer 0. And BlackRock put BIDL, their U.S. Treasury fund, on Uniswap yesterday. Temporarily jumped up 25%, but then came right back down to where it was. But it is huge. There is a lot of good stuff under the carpet to keep a look at on crypto. And as you said, I'll leave us with this last note: is that part of this is that clarity bill and the lack of the president's ability to get it through the finish line here. That's the wave on crypto right now. Institutions are saying if he doesn't get this through, it could be problems over the next couple of years on the regulatory front.
Wow. Okay, then.
So we'll see what we get from there. Everybody have a great trading day, and Steve's going to take you through the open here.
I'm trying to let me get back to my charts here. We'll get to that. For those of you who are not, yesterday I was out doing a filming, and it's like short EWY. We can look at that. All right, James, bring that up here. Okay, EWY, obviously that's the Korean MSCI ETF. As you know, over the last few weeks, I have been long Japan, not through mutual funds, not through ETFs. Mutual funds are a way better situation because they it's a little bit more. This is very concentrated. But good morning, Zora. That when we look at this one here, if we look at a weekly chart, this is what I mean. I held a little bit longer than I wanted to in Japan. Obviously, Asia is doing very well. Thanks to Mr. President's tariffs, the Asian market is turning to itself as opposed to the United States. So this has been a run. The Japan situation has been made a run. And now I did see where yesterday that North Korea, Kim Jong-un, has now hired his or picked his daughter to be the heir to the country of North Korea. And for what I understand, she's just like him. So I don't like this up here. I have, as you know, we talked about this here on the show. Down here, I loved Asian markets. I'm not a big fan of Asian markets right now. I think it's made its run, and I think you could probably take some profit off, especially in the last few days. Look at this. I mean, this is just awesome. If you were long with us, but I don't. I'm selling Japan today. So for those of you who don't know, so anything else out there you want to look at? And I know it's probably that way you didn't want to hear, but you know me, I don't tell people what they want to hear. I tell them what they need to know. I don't sugarcoat it. Don't need to. You're welcome. Speaking of sugar prices at like massive lows here. There we go. I am looking at, for those of you who don't know, I bought Hood on the dip yesterday, and I'm liking this a lot. Another 70 cents today. It was up a little more than that earlier. Vlad Tenev needs to show me something. Yesterday, his big freaking idea was chatting on his platform. Wow. I mean, I hadn't been chatting on the platforms for other companies years ago. Robinhood might be in trouble here, and I may have to take a profit and run on this one because I thought he would come out and do a little bit better. But man, wow. All right, let's get to it. Gold and silver slipping again today. Bitcoin at 68,000. I mean, I do like the fact that Bitcoin is holding here. I'd like to get it back over 70. When it hit 71.5, I took some money off. Everybody knows that. But you know, like, do I put money back into it? I don't know yet. Maybe not. I'm really kind of holding off a little bit on Bitcoin. It needs to show me some more stuff. I am getting interested in Meta again. There we go. If you look at the monthly chart on Meta, there we go. Monthly chart. What am I doing? We are looking at stocks that, you know, I want to make a bigger play. I'm tired of the single day hits. And of course, as you know, I've only missed 3 times this year so far. So looking at this, Meta is really telling me something here. I know the 52-week range is 796, right? And this run here has been pretty good over the last the day range here. So you can see already where Meta is trying to push up. We know where the sellers are. It's up there. It's almost 800, folks. And you're at 668 right now, 672 as this morning. I kind of like this. And if you look at you can see here linear regression. I can flip a weekly chart, all of it staying right in the lines. And it's telling you where to go. So in the daily chart, the weekly chart, the monthly chart, if you've got a longer time frame, Meta's telling you, yeah, we're in this game to win it. You know that in the last few weeks that it closed the gap. That's what we needed to close this gap, and we did that. So I like that a lot. I do like this a lot. This makes me very happy here if you're paying attention to it. For those of you who know, yesterday I crushed Unity software. I'm sorry, I was out. I was doing TV. But look at this. This is a 1-hour chart yesterday. Unity software's numbers came out actually. On this dip, I picked it up at 19.25, right here, in the turn. Now I'm out. I sold yesterday at over 21.50. I think is where I got out at. I think it actually went on up further, but I got out and took my money and ran. Right. But Unity Software, they might have a good play back to 30 here, if we can get something going for them. The only thing that bothers me is this daily chart. But look at this regression bounce. Could get back up to about 39.50 if you, and everything here telling me, yeah, it's going to go right back up. So on the charts, I want to say, so we'll leave it at that. All right, we got about looks like 3.5 minutes here to the open. Anything else somebody wants to look at, let me know. I will pull that up. I will be keeping an eye on the Qs. The market seems a bit weak again today. Nothing really there today, but weak. You can see where my numbers are still telling me where we're going to go to, somewhere around 623. But get ready, folks. It could just do it again. I made this very clear on a couple of shows. For those of you who don't know, I was short at 535. I was smiling all the way to the bank. So many people were like, I'm full of it. But I was right again. It's not hard to see where the buyers and sellers are, folks. Okay. It's just common sense. And I think that's part of what I've been saying this. It's been missing. If you can get back to the normal, back to basics, you'll understand how this market's working right now. And I'm going to show you something. This is a daily chart of the Qs. And you can play it every day. But look at this curve. This is, again, we could see another sell-in. And the markets aren't telling me that things are great right now, right? I mean, it's just not saying that. I'll try to do it again for everybody here. See this curve? The curve widened on a daily chart. Well, what does that mean? Well, if you watch it, the rest of it, you're in no man's land. They're waiting on something. They're waiting on news. They're waiting on something. They don't know what the news is. They don't know what to do. Is it Iran? Is it China? Is it Taiwan? What is it they're looking for? And I want to say all of it. There's no clarity. And that's why you're not seeing anything more than just bouncy, 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 bouncy. So if when in doubt, scroll out, right? Look at this bounce. It just bounces. Is it climbing a wall of worry? Absolutely. But in a real bull market, this is what you see. Right? That's what you see in daily charts. Flip a weekly chart with scrolling out. This is a weak bull market. Oh no, it's a strong bull market. No, it's not. It's really weak. It's telling you that any little weakness, some news, something, earnings, that it's getting smacked, right? And so see this right here, this naughtiness, see this? It's waiting on something. And I don't care what anybody says. This is what I'm waiting on too. And that's why I'm getting nervous. And I don't get nervous, as everybody knows. So this is a 1 minute chart. I'm going to pull up a 10-second chart, and we are going to go live here for the cash market. For those of you who can only play in the cash market, 45 seconds to go. NVIDIA pumping a little bit here. Qs are pushing down. Hood back to 79 here. I'm excited about that one. I'm also long Amazon. I've been buying more Amazon. All right, here we go. Trump is now ending his, okay, 6 seconds. $6.14. We're dropping here a little bit. It's kind of what I felt like was going to happen. Hood dropping a little bit here. Hood, wow, it's a cash market, not like it. That's the kids playing around in the game. Thank you. I think I'm going to take advantage of this. I'm gonna buy a little bit more hood here. I didn't like the selling here. It's a little too much. Stupid. That's what happens when the 0 DTEs get involved. So I am buying more hood here. Thank you. Cheap chairs. Amazon down about 1.3 now. Qs are pushing now. CNBC now talking about NVIDIA here. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything in this market again. Another quiet day here, folks. And it looks like we're going to push the upside here. And there goes $78 now back on hood. $78.14 now. Yeah, this is the nonsense, folks. This is the easy peasy take advantage of people. Okay, sorry to say it that way, but take advantage of them. Oh, stupid people. All right. Tick now up 22. Tick up 55. So a quiet day here. Bitcoin still holding here at 68 here, one. NVIDIA now up 1.4% here. App Lovin down again now, down 13% here. APP really struggling here. Trying to get back up there if it can. Pull up a daily chart there for you. Look at that. This was an $800 stock, $745 now down to $400. Wow. Yeah, and they're talking about it on CNBC. So there you go. There's a 1 minute chart right there for App Lovin. Downplaying risks from AI. I don't like that. There's no down risks are very serious, folks. AI is coming for their jobs. I'm hearing from some developers saying, "Oh, they're not gonna come for my job." Bull. They're coming, folks. I mean, it's coming fast, right? So be careful out there. Qs are trying to push again here. Okay, we're seeing a little bit of hood selling here. It looks like it's just Yeah. Amazon down a 0.2 as well. And I'm picking up a little bit more hood here, I think, on this dip. Yeah, liking it. And Qs are pushing now here. Amazon quiet here this morning. Most things are just quiet this morning. I'm looking at, looking at hood here. I'm just not. Yeah, it's just bouncy. Okay. Pretty quiet here this morning. Pull up a 1 hour chart there on the hood. Yeah, I think it's silly selling there to me. Yeah, it looks like 0 DTEs to me. I'm not scared of this at all. Okay, yeah, Unity software back down a little bit. NVIDIA, it's really struggling up here. Costco still pushing a little bit. As you know, Costco is my big play of the year, and we're absolutely crushing that. So thank you for those of you who are paying attention to that. Looks like more selling there in the hood. Still not worried about it. Robinhood get maintained as a buy by Truist. Yeah. A bank is giving a brokerage a buy rating. There you go, folks. Walmart still pushing higher here a little bit. Walmart's been the fun one this year. Walmart, Costco, all of them. Dow up 238 points, now 250 now. Yeah, I mean, let me show you what's going on with hood. For those of you who are paying attention at home, the 1 minute chart. This is what people are seeing. Look at that. Stupid. And we're going to turn here pretty quickly here on the 1 minute chart, and it's going to explode to the upside. Probably get back up here to the $78 handle here. But I guess he will have to play around a little bit. See the selling? Selling is slowing down. Yeah. It'll turn. Bitcoin 67.8, slipping still a little bit there. Apple, I saw Apple was the only phone that actually grew in Asian markets. That's crazy. I kind of agree with it. iPhone killed it. I agree. Q's now pushing up again here. Get ready for a run. One minute turn it. 1 minute is turning here. Shorts better cover. It's only down 2.39% of the day. All right. Bitcoin's still struggling there a little bit. Very quiet day. And the sellers are slowing down. You can see here on the they're trying to test, but they're not going to get it. So maybe there's some bigger selling in there. I don't know. I can't see that. But it looks like the sellers are cutting loose here. Vlad surely didn't help himself yesterday. That's for damn sure. Qs are trying again here to pump. All right, a little bit more selling here, I guess. Down to these numbers down in here where the tests were, what you can see where the buyers are down in here. If you can see on my charts. Yeah, see here. I'm not scared. Remember, it happened yesterday too, right? The selling. Boop. So. Oh, the Qs just dropped out of bed here. Russia says that there's a chance to go return back to the U.S. dollar. Dollar now pushing here a little bit. It's 96.81 here. Qs are still dropping here. Like I said, I mean, it doesn't feel comfortable here to push higher. Too quiet. Absolutely. Now we're really into the buyers here. I think it's what they're pushing for here, but sellers are the volume is not enough here. It's just a little bit of volume. There just isn't any bidders in it. That's what's going on. But I'm not scared. Netflix down 2.5% now. Q's trying to pop back off that dip there, so. And the Nasdaq now in the red. Yeah, we knew that. Not buying gold or silver. It's just a quiet day. Unity fell a little bit there, not over 9%. Now we're down 5%. Hood down almost 4% here. Not liking the selling though, but I'm not scared. And the market's being quiet does tell you that they're probably not making as much, right? Their order flow is paid for, as everybody knows, right? Here we go. Qs are trying again, but quiet day. And it's quiet. It's still selling a little bit here. There it is. S&P is struggling here, up 0.18%. Buy signal was laid out for you. You knew this was coming. The buyers are now stepping in the hood. How strong they are, I'm not sure yet. But you see where the regression is, 77.40, somewhere around there. It may be a week. This may be a weak day today, all the way around. Bitcoin is still struggling. Wow, this is a quiet day here, folks. Dollar still pushing 96.82 here. Meta down about 0.5% here, so not too bad here. Taiwan Semi up a little bit here. Goldman Sachs up 2.3%. They're not worried about AI. CoreWeave back to $97 a share here, up 1.76%. Yeah. You can see where all the buyers are stepping in here. This is it right here. This area is becoming support now. This is a weekly chart of hood, so it needs to turn a little bit. Give it another week or so, another bar, give you a better answer here. But yeah. All right, we're gonna see a little more selling, I guess. It's trying. I'm not scared. I'm gonna hold it. About 5 minutes down the top of the hour. Qs are still slipping a bit here. Okay. Unity Software now about 7%. It's not really seeing much in this market. Qs are just still dropping. If you're short, sit. I might have to take my 4th loss here on the year here, maybe, folks. Not too bad. I'm up 68% on the year so far, so I'm okay. But I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I'd stick with it. I don't know. I think this nonsense is here. Yeah, I think I'll stick with it. I had to worry about it. I think if you see crypto running back up again over the 68,000 handle, I think you'll probably see Robinhood running too as well. That's kind of what's happening right now. And you're starting to see Qs dropping even more here. Maybe that's the end of it, I think, maybe. $90 seconds now till the top of the hour. Still more selling, looks like. They're really trying. The Qs are really pushing the low downside, so. Netflix down about 3.38%. Now it's $77 now a share. Wow. Okay, it's 10 o'clock and it is super quiet on the markets. A little bit of negativity in the NASDAQ, but that's about it. Everything else is fairly flat. So, all right, for those of you who are watching out there, we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Thanks for watching.